Hey, good afternoon, everybody. I'm out here, real cold winter day again. I'm gonna stay bundled up. Sorry if I look a little bit weird, but gotta stay warm on these things to make sure I get it done. So today, the message I want to talk with you guys a little bit about is the difference between confidence and arrogance. And these things sound like almost the same to most people, but they're actually complete polar opposites. So before I get into this, if you're watching this live, put a hashtag live right down below. I don't have anybody showing on right now, but if you're watching this later on and you jump in, let me know. But if you're watching this later on, put hashtag replay. That way I know who's watching these later on. So confidence is, like I said, the polar opposite of arrogance. This is when we are in a position where we are trying to display sort of our perception of ourselves. So when we talk about confidence, this comes from a place of knowing your own personal value. That's essentially what confidence is. Arrogance is getting your value told to you by the outside world, or usually other people, okay? So if you're in a situation where you have to choose between confidence and arrogance, what comes out will be determined by how well you know yourself. So a lot of us go into situations and we don't feel confident. And we manifest this in many different ways. Maybe it's shy, introverted. Maybe it's where we, stumble through our words. Maybe we actually avoid a situation, whatever that may be. Hey, Ricky Brandt, good to see you. But that confidence is never going to come out in a good way unless you know yourself. So in order to get to a place where you can respond confidently, you have to internalize a lot. And this comes over time and over many situations where you're given the opportunity to learn who you are as a person, right? It's very important that you understand where confidence comes from, because most people go through life feeling like arrogance is the way to confidence. So for me, arrogance is fake it till you make it. This is like, I need to tell you something that I'm not completely, being truthful with myself about in order to get validation externally so I can feel good in the moment, right? But as soon as that external validation goes away, your confidence is gone. You don't feel good about yourself until somebody else again tells you that you're good enough. That's not confidence. That's simply external stimulus and telling you, yes, you're good enough in the moment. Confidence is permanent. It doesn't go away. You get to carry that through every situation that you're involved in. So if you go into a new environment, say you start a new job, all right? If this is the first job that you've ever had, I expect you not to be that confident in that situation because it's a completely new thing for you. But if this is like 4th, 5th, 10th job that you've had, starting the new job should not necessarily be something where you aren't confident. Unless you failed at every other job you had and you got fired 10 times before this one, then maybe, you shouldn't be that confident going into it. But the idea of being able to confidently work through the situation and have a security in yourself that you'll be able to go through and you're not going to die on the first day of work. That comes from experience in the past that told you you weren't going to die. Okay. But when you're 16, you get your first job. Of course, you're not going to be that confident. You've never worked for anybody before. You have no idea what you're going to be doing. You don't know your own personal value. And that's what this really comes down to, is determining your own personal value comes through experiences, first of all. And that helps create the confidence. Sometimes we're able to generate confidence long term because of external validation. So we go through a situation, someone tells you, man, you did a good job at that. You're like, wow, thank you. That makes me feel really good. And the next time you go to that situation, you're going to remember what that person said to you as an experience booster. But you have to have believed that person. When they told you that you did a good job, if you immediately said, oh no, it wasn't that good. No, I didn't really do that good a job. You're discounting your own value. So first of all, learn to take a compliment. Secondly, take those little wins, because this is where confidence develops, is through the small accomplishments that you have compounded over time. So I'll give you guys an example of this. I'm kind of a big dude. Like, I've never been the skinny guy. I was actually the fat kid in school for a real long time, and got picked on and had a lot of, lack of self-confidence, because the only thing that I knew was this external stimulus of people telling me, oh, you're not good enough, you don't fit the mold, you're too fat, whatever it may be. And so I was always reluctant, and I guess you could say shy, but I played sports and I was out in the world, so I wasn't necessarily an introvert. I just put myself in very few situations where I was going to have to experience that same kind of thing of somebody telling me I wasn't good enough. And it wasn't until I went into high school that things really started to change for me a lot. Because I'm kind of big, I was able, hey Julie, what's up? Hope your world's going good today. It's going to get better for you, I promise. I saw your Instagram. So we're gonna be talking about some confidence today. But when I was in high school, I signed up for a class that was weightlifting. So I was always really excited about this because I'm a bigger dude and I wanted to, get stronger and do some things that were, better with my body. I felt like that was a good fit for me. So in 8th grade, I signed up for weights class, was all excited through the summer. Freshman year rolls around and they told us, as of this year, we're making a change where freshmen, 9th grade, is not allowed to take weights class. And it changed the year I went into high school. Previously, you could just sign up for weights class and you could, jump in and start doing it. Well, for whatever reason, they made that change and it affected me. And I was like, man, this really sucks. So I ended up having to go into PE, physical education, right? Which is just kind of like running around the gym and playing basketball and whatever the thing is for the day that they have. So because I continued on my path of following the things that I like to do, I also tried out for the basketball team and I made it. I got on the basketball team and was going through our motions, and they announced to us that anyone who was playing a sport was actually given the option to choose whether or not they wanted to be in PE or in weights class. I was like, oh, this is my opportunity. So I jumped on it. I said, yes, sign me up for weights class. I want to do that thing. Okay, so I had to go through the first semester in PE because I was already in that class, and you have to complete at least half of the year in a semester or whatever to get a grade. So second semester, they put me into weights class. Now, I had never really lifted weights before, but because I was kind of bigger and I'm sort of strong, I was immediately drawn to it and kind of, fit into that world. So long story short, my first semester in weights class, I figured out that I was actually stronger than I thought I was. I had a little bit of confidence in myself that I might be good in this area, but until I had the experience and I went through and started actually lifting weights, did I figure out, wow, I'm even stronger than I thought. And I started to build my own confidence. And so at the end of my freshman year, I figured out I really liked bench press. And bench press became sort of my thing in high school. And by the end of my freshman year, a semester essentially, I was able to bench press 230 pounds. Now, honestly, that's more than most people ever bench press in their whole life, which is totally fine, but it wasn't necessarily a thing where I went in trying to compare myself to other people. But what automatically happened was everybody else noticed that I was able to bench press a whole bunch right away. And I actually had some people questioning, are you taking supplements? I even had like the steroids question and stuff. I'm like, guys, I'm in 9th grade. I'm not shredded. I'm not, humongous or whatever. But because the result that I had was not typical for most people, it caused some concern. So I didn't immediately get validation externally from anybody else that said, yeah, you're strong. I had to learn that myself, and it was that self-awareness that took my confidence level to the next step in my sophomore year. So I played on the basketball my freshman year. I did not play basketball my sophomore year, but they allowed all sophomores to take weights class. And so my sophomore year, I took the experience that I had as a freshman and being able to bench 230 pounds after only one semester, basically 2 quarters, and took that into my sophomore year, and I continued working. And I did a lot of bench press. I did a lot of other exercising, but that was the one that I liked the most. All right. I found out what I was good at, and I focused on my strength. And this is the trick, guys. This is where I'm going with this, is find out what you're good at. Don't try to fix your negative flaws all the time, all right? If they're horrible, like, work on them. But, like, the things that you focus on really putting your efforts into is to maximize the stuff you're already good at. Don't discount those things as like, oh, I'm already good at that, so I need to work on other stuff. No, leverage that, because that's where confidence comes from. There's stuff that you aren't that good at, you can pay other people to be good at, okay? So it's not important you're good at everything. You need to be a master in certain areas in your world. And those areas where you are already good is where you will gain your confidence from. All right, so as I'm going through my sophomore year, I started getting stronger. I was actually able to get enough time in over the entire year to add another 50 pounds to my bench press max. So this is how much weight you can lift one time. All right, so I went from 230 to 280. So I added another 50 pounds to my max by the time I was done with my sophomore year. That was huge, because at 280 as my max, I was lifting more than most of the seniors in any of the classes in the entire school. And I started to get some awareness put on me, and people were paying attention to what I was doing. Now, nowhere in this did I actually go out and tell people, hey, I'm super strong. I was not trying to derive my confidence from other people's validation. It started with me figuring out what I was good at and pursuing that to get even better at it. And when you find something you're good at, confidence comes naturally. And here's the thing, guys, is if you are confident, it's internal. You know the value that you have, and you do not have that waver based on the opinion of someone else. If you are arrogant, you are lying to the world essentially to try and get them to be convinced of the value that you have. And you get a momentary escalation in your confidence due to that validation. But as soon as that validation goes away, the confidence drops. And a lot of times your confidence internally will drop even more because that validation went away. It was like, oh, I was good enough and now I'm not. How come? Why? You start questioning yourself, right? But if you are confident internally, that's a permanent factor. And it carries over into the other parts of your life. And so being able to bench press 280 pounds at the end of my sophomore year, I'm in 10th grade at this point. I'm about 16 years old. And I'm pushing past people that, are a couple years older than me with a higher expectation to be able to do more because of that age difference and all of those things. And so I started to build the value that I saw in myself as somebody who was strong. Okay, this is just one area, and I'm giving you guys an example, but this is one of the things that catapulted me into so many other successes in my world. So I went through sophomore year, hit that 280 by the end, came into junior year, and again, I didn't play basketball, but I played soccer, I was on the track team, very active, all right? So still pursuing this ability to get stronger. Like, that was a big thing for me. And so junior year comes around, and I got somebody else. This was like the magic year for me. I found somebody else who also loved bench press. This dude's name was Kevin Nelson. I haven't talked to him in probably 20 years, but Skipper, good to see you, man. So we are talking about confidence versus arrogance here. And when I found Kevin, he was somebody who loved bench press, like as much as I did, almost more than I did. And he became my workout partner. It just happened to be. I didn't get to choose him. We just got matched up. And he just happened to love bench press almost as much as I did. And so we started working out with each other. And we started pushing each other. And we're spotting each other, making sure, you don't drop the bar on your chest. It's kind of dangerous. But we actually started skipping our leg days. We were supposed to only do upper body every other day. We were supposed to do legs on the alternating days. We found people who hey, Craig Kylonen, this is a guy who knows about weightlifting. What's up, man? So when we had to alternate to our leg days in high school, we found a group of dudes that didn't mind switching with us. So we didn't ask for permission for this. We just went on our way to make sure we were hitting our own goals to get better at bench press. And so we found someone that on our leg days, they would do legs, and we would continue to do arms and upper body and allow us to do bench press. And so, excuse me, through that junior year, because I now had someone else who was as confident and as excited in the same thing that I was interested in, which was specifically bench press, him and I worked together very hard and actually pushed each other to get better and better at that thing. Cody Parker, what's up, man? So when we pushed each other and we kept going forward and forward, it just generates more confidence, guys. And this is what's awesome, is when you have a small success, it will easily breed more success because you go into the next step of that knowing that you were already successful. The first time it's hard to be excited. Marco, good to see you, man. So anyway, Kevin and I kept working throughout our junior year, and this is where confidence comes from internal inspiration and self-value. Boy, this is getting real loud. I'm out here on a busy street. But we were also given a really cool piece that externally validated the confidence that I had built in myself. And this came in the form of a progress chart. Now, I didn't realize how awesome this was going to be for me until it started happening. So basically what happened is they put a chart up on the wall, and this was like a color-coded bar chart. So you had your name, and based on how much you weighed and how much your one rep maximum was, there was a color code. So you started out in the yellow range, and as your number went higher, it went from yellow to orange. And then once you went a little bit farther, it actually got to red. So when we started this out, some people, actually didn't even get to the yellow. That was like below what their expected, outcomes were. Some people got into the yellow, and only a few of us actually made it to the orange. This was at the beginning of the year. Now, as I continued to work, my confidence grew because I could see literally on a chart where I measured up. How do I compare to everybody else? And this is a lot of it, is we constantly compare ourselves to other people, and where do we fall in line with what the standard is for everybody else, okay? Don't get caught in that loop, because the external validation can change at any point. And when you measure yourself based on others, you lose most of the time, okay? But I was fortunate enough. I already had my own internal confidence. I had already proven to myself that I was good at this bench press thing. And so I continued on with it, regardless of what everybody else was doing. And I did this naturally, and it just happened to work out for me. But moving forward through the year, you could see that everybody else kind of stagnated. Colton, my man, there he is. So as I was going through the year, my number kept moving forward. I was able to actually push it farther and farther into the orange. And towards the end of the year, I became the first person in the entire school. Out of every grade, all 4 grades, there was like 1,200 people in my high school. I was the very first person to hit the red mark. Now, that was never my intention. My intention came from getting better at bench press, all right? But the external effect from that was that I pushed myself harder in that area specifically than other people. And that's what allowed me to move forward in that one thing. Now, I will admit, there was a little bit of external comparison. And when you're young, you do this. Everybody, who's in high school is like, oh, who am I compared to this dude? Like, external is everything. It's all superficial. What do they think of me, right? And so the other thing that motivated me was on the wall throughout the entire existence of the high school, which started, man, I don't know, in the early 1900s. It was like a super old high school. There was a record board. This was all the people who had ever attended that high school in existence. We're talking tens of thousands of people that had gone through that high school. And the records for the fastest 40-meter dash and squat and bench press and all these measurable events was staring at me every single day. And our school bench press record was 325 pounds. That record was set by some dude like, I don't know, back in the 80s or something. So I graduated in 2001, and that record had stood for quite a long time. And so my junior year, I started out at 280. And I said, look, I'm going to set a goal for myself to set the school bench press record. I was only 45 pounds away from this record. And I had 2 more years of high school to be able to do that. So for me, I was super confident. I didn't care what anybody else said. I didn't care who thought I was on steroids or whatever. Like, I actually have hardly ever taken supplements my whole life, right? Just naturally, it was a good thing for me. So went through the year, pushed myself super hard on bench press, and I continued to grow my colors on my bar chart into that red category. And I got to the end of the year, and I almost broke the record. My junior year of high school, I ended up 5 pounds shy of the record. I benched 320 pounds as a 17-year-old. Now, guys, if you do not know weightlifting, if you see a 17-year-old who does not take supplements that benches over 300 pounds, believe me, that dude is super strong. I didn't realize how strong I was at the moment. I knew comparatively on the chart that compared to everybody else in the school, you're showing me I'm stronger than everybody. And believe me, that boosted my confidence. But I didn't realize until later on, way later on, becoming a personal trainer and doing all kinds of stuff in the fitness world, how big a goal and how much of a feat that really was. So my junior year, I got to the end of the year, and I was only 5 pounds away from breaking this record. And this was like such a tangible thing at this point. I could not believe how far I had come simply by just pursuing one specific thing over and over and over and over and over. And even like pushing off the things that I didn't want to do or wasn't that good at, which was squats and legs and all that kind of stuff. And by the way, I still did leg stuff because We had to. We couldn't change every single day. And I ended up squatting 450. So I wasn't just strong upper body. I was strong in my legs too, but it wasn't my passion. So I focused on the thing that I really liked to do, which was bench press. So with that 320 pound mark, I finished my junior year as the strongest person in the entire school. Hands down. I didn't have to question it. There was a freaking bar chart on the wall that not only told me, but it told everybody else in the entire school that ever walked into that room who the person that could bench the most in the whole school was. Now, that was external validation, but it came from a start where I knew what I was good at. And that's what really comes down to, guys, is you determining the things that you're good at first and going after that so you can get better at it. Yeah, my squat came up as a result of it. I got better at some of the other stuff that I wasn't as good at and didn't try so hard at, but it was because I pushed myself in the area where I was already good, okay? I'm getting a little hot here. So, moral of the story, we'll finish this up here, is my senior year. I had this goal that I was going to break the bench press record. It was 325 pounds. I had already benched 320 pounds. To me, there was absolutely no way I was not going to break that record my senior year. And then some things changed. I got a girlfriend. That's like the start of every downfall, right? Every story in the world that goes downhill is like, yeah, I met the opposite sex, all right? So the summer between my junior and senior year, I got a girlfriend. And lo and behold, I wanted to continue forward in my outside world. And one of the things that I always wanted was earrings, crazy enough. And she thought that they were awesome. And so about 2 weeks before my senior year started, I did a really stupid thing, and I didn't understand the impact of it at the time because that's not how you think when you're 17. But I went and got my ears pierced. And they're actually still pierced to this day. I can still wear earrings if I want to. I don't regularly. But the thing that happened was I had to make a choice when I went to sign up for my classes my senior year. And I had to choose between going into weights class and taking out my earrings. Because the first 6 weeks after you get your ears pierced, you cannot take them out. They will close back up, right? And I decided I wanted the earrings more than the record. And that was a tough decision for me because I was only 5 pounds away. I was almost there. And the only thing that I had to do was move forward 1 inch to be able to break that record. And I would have had my name up in lights for the rest of my life. Mr. Victor, my man, 2 days in a row, good to see you. So guys, I came down to this massive decision of, do I keep the earrings in my ears and let them heal for the next 6 weeks? Or do I pull them out, go against what I want to do in a sacrifice for that external validation? And it was a tough decision, guys, and I made the right one. I chose to keep the earrings. As stupid as that sounds, that was one of the best decisions I made, not because of the earrings, but because I followed the confidence that I had built in myself that no longer required me to need the external validation from that bar chart on the wall, the record plaque up on the higher wall, or anybody else telling me that I was the strongest dude in that school. I no longer needed or cared whether or not someone else recognized that. Now that was a big thing that I did not even realize until later on. So I did not take weights class my senior year. Now, to this day, if I had to go back and do it, I probably would. I would probably sacrificed and gotten the weights and done the thing or whatever, but I didn't. And so moving forward, because I had built that confidence in myself doing the things that I did in high school, I carried that past high school. And when I went into college, I continued lifting weights. Not because I was out here trying to show somebody that I was the strongest dude in the world, but because by that point I realized it made me feel really good when I lifted weights. I felt strong as could be. I was able to actually see my muscles grow during a single workout. I noticed it, no one else did, and I didn't care. It did not matter whether or not someone else could recognize the improvement that I saw in myself. It was that internal inspiration that allowed me to continue to go back to the gym and lift another day. Even when I was sore, even when, I didn't have a lot of time and I felt rushed, it became part of how I made myself better, not only physically, but mentally, and gained the confidence in myself. And I was able to do that enough times where I started to actually have people come up to me and ask me questions. Hey, do you know how to use this equipment over here? You look like you've been working out for a while. Oh yeah, sure, you just do this thing. And I discounted that along the way, because I had got inspired to follow the thing that I was excited about, I learned about this world of working out and fitness. It was something that just became very natural for me. So when people asked me the question, hey, how do you do this workout thing? I would just spout off whatever they needed to hear and give them the thing that they were looking for. Oh, I'm getting hot. And it was like no big deal for me. I didn't have to search for them anywhere saying that, hey, you know what you're talking about. Because guys, when you are confident, it is recognized automatically by the people around you. And when you're arrogant, that's also recognized by the people around you, okay? So when you go into any situation, understand that when you leave that situation, people will forget the things that you said and did, but they will not forget the way that you made them feel, okay? And a lot of this comes from whether or not you are confident or arrogant. You're either going to be one or the other, okay? You're either confident or you're not. You're either arrogant or you're not. So if you go into a situation, you confidently display your knowledge, your posture. All kinds of things come about in the way that you interact with other people, and they will pick up on this automatically. You don't have to tell people that you're confident. If you are confident, people will know. They can tell by the way that you present yourself and the way that you respond and the cadence of your voice and all those sorts of things. They come out very clearly. So in the world that I went into, I actually put myself, just kind of naturally in a position of success in the fitness world because I only pursued the area that I was excited about and that I was already strong in. So guys, this is my tip for you. We follow a given path from 0 to 18. We go through high school with everything handed to us in an agenda. You're going to wake up at this time. You're going to go to school from X time to X time. You eat lunch at X time. You have X amount of knowledge that you have to gain in these specific classes. You have testing at this time. You have homework at this time. You have a bedtime at this time. Like everything is handed to you and told you what you need to do. And it's hard to break out of that cycle of everybody telling you what you have to do every single day and get into the point where you make your own decisions. And this is what catapulted me faster than a lot of my peers, is I started focusing earlier on the things that I wanted to do and what made me happy and what I was already good at. Those were the areas where I continued to thrive and move forward. And so in your world, if you're 18 watching this, first of all, congratulations. You're getting some good education. But if you are in the adult world, which I think all of you guys are from the names I see on the screen here, find the thing that makes you happy. The thing that you are excited to do in the act of doing it. Not what result am I going to get from doing this thing. Because when I first started, I didn't want to lift weights so that I could prove that I was stronger than everybody else. I wanted to get stronger. I enjoyed being able to actually see the improvement in myself from the first day to the second day to the next week. And that was the internal confidence that built in me. So figure out in your own world, what do you love to do? Victor, I know you love traveling all over the place. Colton, you got a beard like Grizzly Adams, and you grow that thing like a man. Find those things, guys, whatever it may be for you, that allows you to be confident in yourself. When you have something that is unwavering confidence, regardless of what the world outside tells you, you know that that's a thing for you. That's a confidence that cannot be broken. And when you gain that in one area, you will find a way. Oh, Kylo, what's up, man? So Mr. Ryan, Kylo. When you find that thing and you become confident in a certain area, you carry that into the rest of your world. Because guys, if you listen to me anytime, you probably heard this before, but like my life motto is the way you do anything is how you do everything. If you're a slacker and you try to figure out the easy way around shit, like that's what you're gonna do in every situation. But if you're somebody who takes responsibility and accepts ownership, and you gotta say, okay, I'm gonna do this thing because this is what I need to do to get better, that's how you're gonna operate all the time. So success breeds momentum that breeds more success. You only have to get good in one area to start, and it will carry over into the other areas of your life that maybe you didn't realize you weren't as good at. But because you learn how to get good at one thing, you automatically start training yourself to learn how to get good in other areas. It just does it that way. It's a natural response, right? And so it's very important that you self-determine your own value. Because if the way that you feel about yourself comes from the words or the external anything, and you rely on that outside voice to tell you that you're good enough, you'll never be good enough for yourself. You will only be good enough for the audience in that moment. And that's a big deal, guys, because the audience changes all the time. My friends list has changed many times since I was a little kid. I have a couple people that I still talk to from kids, but like, you know, growing up, life happens, you move away, things change, you interact with different people, you get a new job, you move into a new city, whatever it may be. Oh, sun's going down, starting to cool off, so I'm gonna let you guys get out of here, but I appreciate everybody hanging out with me and listening to me ramble about this confidence versus arrogance thing, because man, I want to help every person out there who wants to help themselves to understand their own personal value, because that's the only way that you can move forward confidently into the next situation, knowing you're not going to die at your first job, and the date that you're on with this person that you aren't comfortable with yet because it's the first date is not going to be the end of you if you say the wrong thing, right? You have to understand what your ability is to go into a situation and be yourself and get through that, as you're either going to win and it comes out to be a result that matches the expectation you had going in, or you're going to learn where the expectation was a bit different, but you carry out a new piece of knowledge that lets you go into the next situation with a more confident head. All right. So I appreciate you guys hanging out. If you got questions on this, let me know. If you have watched this and you've, gotten something out of it, hit me up in the comments. Let me know what you're thinking about this. Drop me a like, hit that heart button, and I'll see you on the next one.